Hello, everyone, and welcome to Even Littles Can Code, Coding for K2 with Tinker. My name is Leandra, and I will be your host for today for the first half of the session. For the second half of the session, my host will be Paige Besthoff, and a little bit about Paige. She's amazing. She has over 20 years of experience. She teaches at the elementary level and encourages her students to be creators, not consumers. And she's also a Tinker Distinguished Educator, Code.org CS Fundamentals Facilitator, and an active member of the CS community. So I am so excited to have Paige Besthoff here with me today to be co-hosting this session. So hello, Paige.
Hello, thank you for the wonderful introduction. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you so much. And a little bit about me. I am a Tinker Educator Community Specialist. I was a teacher for about 6 years before coming to Tinker in the English language space. And I also was a computer science teacher in elementary school for a little while. And now I am having a great time working with teachers at Tinker. All right. Let's go ahead and continue here. Oh, I think I have a message on the screen. Okay, making sure that everybody can see the presentation here. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so on our agenda today, we're going to be talking about what is Tinker and why use it in the classroom. We're also going to talk about Tinker's course progression, pre-K through K-12, but we're really going to be focusing on the Tinker Junior app because we want to focus on our littles that can code at such a young age. And then we're going to build, which Paige will be taking over and building some awesome projects for us. So we'll be seeing some PBL in the classroom. And finally, we're going to get connected, learn how we can get extra support that we may be needing in the community from Tinker. All right, so what is Tinker? Well, in short, Tinker is the easiest way to teach computer science in schools. And Tinker was founded on two main principles: great coding tools and being easy to teach in the classroom. When our founders founded Tinker, they wanted something that was great for their own children, but then also students around the world. They wanted to make sure that they were getting exposed to computer logic that is very common, computer programming jargon, computer programming that they are using every single day in the real world. And so they wanted to make sure that they had access to this. And so as you can see here, we have block and text coding, a comprehensive pre-K through 12 curriculum. And we also have STEM courses for our little ones. Now, our languages expand to JavaScript, Python, Java, P5.js, the list goes on, and it's really exciting for our students to have so much access to so many different languages. And what's great is that Tinker does have a premium curriculum, but for the most part, it is free for everyone. So even for our teachers, automatic assessments, classroom management, professional development, sessions for free. All of this is available for our teachers. And what's nice about our classroom management is that we have progress reports for students, login codes, reward systems. All of that is all ready for you to go straight in Tinker. And I love the fact that quizzes are automatically graded for you. You can't go wrong there. You can just look at it and pop it into the grade book and know what your students have done. So Tinker is trusted by over 90,000 schools, and it's easy to see why, because it has so much for our teachers and for our students. Now, Tinker empowers kids to create, to be makers. We don't just want our students to learn how to code. We want a lot more with that. More than that, we want for them to be able to create with code and show what they know with code. We are kind of past the age of poster boards and dioramas. Everything is digital now, but why not use that in the classroom? Why not have kids show what they're learning through coding? Coding is the literacy of the future. They can create projects that show what they're learning in their history class, what they're learning in their science class, or even English. And Tinker has pre-made templates 4 projects for students for all of these STEM areas, but they also have blank templates, blank projects that students can build and to be able to create whatever they want to show off what they're learning in the classroom. Tinker is not just for computer science teachers, it's also for all of our teachers that want to use coding as a tool to show off what their students are learning. Also, we have AR in Minecraft, hardware such as microbit, and we also use robotics and drones that students can train these robotics to go through obstacle courses and program them to do things like that. If you would like to see a little bit more, you can go to our YouTube channel, Tinker on YouTube, and you can see what our kids create weekly there. All right, let's go on a little bit further to talk a little bit more about Tinker before we get into the curriculum. It is a solution for hashtag every student can code, hashtag every teacher can code. And as you can see at the bottom, Tinker has had many, many rewards over the past few years. It's still a startup and has continued to grow exponentially over the years. And we can see that millions of people around the world use Tinker and millions of students and thousands of teachers. So it's definitely a great implementation for the classroom for sure. And what's awesome is the grade-based learning progression. And I think that's what's really special about Tinker, especially since it starts for our littles, which we'll talk more about today. But the pre-reader grade level is fantastic because it's icon-based coding and it's voice-enabled and tappable. For students that may have limited motor skills at that age, it's easy. They don't have to drag and drop. They can just tap on the code block that they would like to include, and it will pop up on the screen. And what I love about it is that already at such a young age, they are going to be exposed to logic like if statements and while loops and for loops, things like that. And they also get to practice debugging. But there's, interestingly, more projects that they can create. So for every single course that they take, they can create their own projects that go along with it. And Paige will be showing us a lot more about that later. When we go into elementary school, there are a lot of drag and drop text blocks for them and very limited reading at that age. Then we go on to middle school and it's syntax-free language blocks. And what we mean by that is usually when it comes to computer programming, sometimes we get stuck on the syntax. We forget a colon, we forget a semicolon, we forget some parentheses, and oh boy, our code does not work. But for middle schoolers, this is not a problem. They won't be discouraged because they can see the language, but still using block coding, which is fantastic. And finally, high school, they will be doing text coding in JavaScript, Python, HTML, CSS, Java, P5.js, the list goes on. And also they have access to APCSA courses, APCSP, data science, and even art and programming in processing, P5.js. So it's really amazing all that our students have access to. And again, they have access to project creation in all of these languages for free for the classroom. We wanted to make sure that Tinker is free for everyone forever. Even if you don't have the premium subscription, you can still benefit from what Tinker has to offer. All right, so let's take a look a little bit more about our pre-K second grade course a little bit. So as I mentioned before, these are word-free text blocks. And as you take a closer look here, you can see that it's icons. So this red block here is a repetition block. So they're being exposed to repetition at that age. And then it's saying that they're going to go 2 steps forward, 1 step down, and then 1 step forward. And then they're going to repeat that loop here. So you can kind of see how that works within Tinker. And Paige will, of course, give us some more information on how this works here. And there's also helpful hints, and it's all voiceover friendly for our little ones so that they can know what to do next and how to manage and navigate through Tinker. Now, what's very special about our Tinker Junior app and even our online app is that it's easy to log in for our littles. We know it can get frustrating when they have to type in their username or type in the numbers for their password. We have certainly surpassed that. We have bypassed that with our login with our QR codes. All they have to do is take a snap of the picture and boom, they are in their account, ready to go. Kids can do it. And they are in your classroom, which is great. You can even have it for the lessons that you have provided for your students. They'll be ready to go. So this is just one of those great advantages of using Tinker. So let's build. I'm about to turn it over to Paige. Before I do, I'm going to put a couple of links in the chat. So the first one is tinker.com/hour of code. And so she will be showing off the app, which the Tinker Junior app is only on the iPad right now, but on the Hour of Code, you can go online and work through some of our K2 courses. I'm going to share my screen there. And if you'd like to follow along, please feel free to do so. And so here you can see all of our K2 courses. You can just go to all grades and you can go to elementary school and see all of the ones that we have here. And you don't need to log in order to do these. If you'd like to log in and see what we have available, you can do so. And if you'd like to download Tinker Junior app on your iPad to follow along, you are more than welcome to do so. You may not be able to follow along with all of the curriculum that she has, but you will be able to do some of the projects with Paige as well. So definitely take a look at it or log into Tinker. It's very easy. You can just log in with your Google account and you can follow along here. And for example, it's super easy. I'll do one example of Candy Quest and I'll let Paige go ahead and do our Tinker Junior app. So I'm just going to do an example of our K-8 curriculum. And I'm going into Programming 100, which is one of our free courses. We have three free courses, and each one comes with multiple lessons and activities within each lesson. And we can do Get the Gumdrop together, just to get a closer look here. So this is usually for our first and second graders here. And I want Cody to walk to the gumdrop. So I'm going to get him to walk 1, 2, 3, 4 times. And let's see if it works. Cool. And he made it. He got it. So this would definitely be something for one of our first or second graders. As you can tell, it's drag and drop. And you can definitely follow along with us if you would like. And Paige is going to show us our tappable ones for our pre-K pre-readers. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and turn it over to Paige. Paige, thank you so much for being here. Once again, Paige has 20 years of experience in the classroom, and she is definitely a resource for us today. We're really excited and really looking forward to all of the projects that you will be showing us.
Okay, thank you. All right, so welcome everybody. So I'm going to start off with showing you what the lesson plans and the curriculum looks like. So we're going to be looking at the Icon Coding 10 course pack, which is the Tinker Junior. So the lesson plans and presentations I'm opening up on my PC, but when I demo the student side, that's going to be on the iPad. So here I'm starting out with the first lesson, which is called Ocean Odyssey, and gives you the description of the course. And here's some other of the courses, and it shows you what the topics are. So we're going to talk about sequencing, repetition, as Leandra said, debugging, some conditional logic, some loops, pattern recognition, and some other things. So as you go through this, it shows you that here are the lessons. So you can assign them one at a time if you want for your students, or you can assign them all. Right now I have them all assigned. We're going to be looking at underwater coding in a minute. But I want to show also the presentations. So if I click on the link here, it's going to show you the slide decks are already created for you. So as Leandra said, I'm teaching over 20 years, and sometimes, I'll only teach this lesson once a year. I introduce it and then I move on to the next lesson. So as a teacher, I don't have to remember what I taught last year. I don't have to recreate my lessons. Everything is already created here. So usually when I teach anything, I always create my own slide decks, and they're already created here for us. Okay, so as you go through them, you can see that the students right away are told that they're going to earn a free fun badge, and then they show what the puzzles are going to look like. So here it's telling us that we're going to be working with some puzzles, and we're going to learn how to get our sequencing in order. Okay, they give you a warm-up activity. So the original warm-up activity, and this is all typed up in a lesson plan for you, is for your students to recognize some of the characters who are in the first lesson. So the teacher can display this picture of all the different creatures or sea animals, and then have the students choose their favorite and color it in. Okay, so that's the warm-up unplugged activity. And then they go through the directions on how to use the code blocks. So I'm not going to go through all 23 of the slides, but I just want you to have an idea that everything is here and already prepared for you as a teacher. So you can have the whole presentation, and of course you can modify it for your students' needs. Okay, I'm going to go back to the lesson plan. Again, it's already created. So me, in my district, I have to actually put my lesson plans into a program. We use Genesis. So what I do is I go into here and I just copy and paste the lessons from here into the lesson plan that I need to hand them in. And here's how Leandra already showed us how they can sign in. Here's your vocabulary, here's your objectives. So I would just select my objectives and copy and paste them right into my district's lesson planning. Again, here's your unplugged warm-up activity. And then here is your standards for US and the UK standards for anyone who's in the UK. So I'm going to switch over my camera so that I can show my iPad. Okay. And you can switch your view by double clicking on my iPad view if you would like. All right, so I open up the app and I'm signed in as a student, and I'm going to go into the first lesson, which is called Ocean Odyssey. And as you'll see, I wanted to make sure the sound is up.
An underwater paradise. Many creatures of the sea make their home sweet home here. Let's meet these ocean friends now. Tap the block below to complete the puzzle.
Okay, so again, as Leandra mentioned, for the earlier ones,
Nice job! You've just met Gilly the goldfish.
we're only tapping. We don't have to worry about dragging and dropping yet. Later on, the students will be introduced to drag and drop.
Let's see who else lives in Treasure Cove. Connect the blocks to see who we'll meet next.
So again, tap on.
Excellent! That's Jules the jellyfish.
So again, now the students are being introduced to each of the characters as they go. And I'm going to go skip ahead a little bit. Let's see, I believe it was number 7 is where they
Build
get
this
the
friend from
badge.
scratch.
Okay, so now they're putting them in order and figuring out which one should go first.
Excellent! That one is Percy the pufferfish.
And again, it's teaching students sequencing. And I'm going to go on to 12, because this is where the creativity
Everyone
comes
was
in.
playing when suddenly the treasure chest was knocked over. What a mess! Help collect the spilled treasure. Choose your character.
Okay, so you get student choice.
Great choice! You've picked Gilly. Let's start coding. Tap the block.
Okay, so you can see the first 11 levels, the students are just getting a very brief introduction, but already here by lesson 12, the students are becoming real coders. So when I teach sequencing in my class, we do a lot of examples on how to sequence. My favorite one is to have them explain to me how to brush their teeth. So I have the students go around the room and I say, what's the first thing you do? What's the next thing you do? What's the next thing you do? So first you get your toothbrush, then you get the toothpaste, then you wet the toothbrush, and some students will say, well, they put the toothpaste on first, and we go through the, does it matter? And they say no. And I do the same lesson year after year. I teach the same students for 5 years in a row, and we'll constantly go over it and get more into depth, where sometimes it'll take us an entire 45 minutes to go through the steps, just how to brush your teeth. But it gives them the introduction of how to sequence. So here, this again, when you're introducing sequencing, it brings them at the very, very beginning. And here, all they have to do is tap on it.
Tap play to run your code.
And it's already showing them where the play button is. And
Woohoo!
students are rewarded with stars, just like most of the programs they use in their regular classrooms. They get leveled up with stars. So I think that almost every program they use, I know that in my school they use Prodigy and iExcel, and they're always getting some kind of reward, epic books, and so it gives them the same similar rewards that they're used to.
Look, we need 2 blocks to solve this. Put the blocks in the right order and then press play. The up block will make you swim upwards.
Okay, so again, they're being introduced.
The up block will make you swim upwards.
Why am I not swimming upwards?
The X.
Oh, okay, thanks. Alright, so it's up, but so as a student, and I always, even not intentionally this time, but I always do model what they're going to do. So I would make the same mistake that most of our students will make, because they're telling you to use the up block right away, but they're not going to be using it. So I'm going to press run and just see what happens when...
Oof, that hurt. Try going another way.
Alright, so it does offer new advice. So I'm going to take this one back out. And here again, they're being introduced to the dragging and dropping. When, in order to take the block out, I had to drag it. Oh, and I'm still backwards. Okay.
That hurt. Try going another way.
And then they could switch it.
You did it!
Okay, so when Leandra was showing the Cody getting the gumdrops, my students, when they work on those, sometimes they forget to actually go close enough to the end. So again, this is introducing them to the way that they're going to be going through all the steps. Okay, and it goes all the way to 35. And they have to go in order. So if I want to skip one...
This is locked. Keep coding to play this level.
Okay, so it doesn't let them go ahead. All right, so I want to demo another lesson. I'm going to switch back to my screen for a second. So that was the Ocean Odyssey. It shows you the lesson plan, which I demoed before, the presentation, and then also there's an answer key. So if the teacher that's using it is not used to computer science, if they're a regular classroom teacher, they can get the answer keys, okay, so they can see and assist their students. Now, with the simple puzzles, most of us won't have any trouble with that, although it looked like I couldn't figure out up and forward. But when you get to the more advanced lessons, I know that even with 20 years of experience, sometimes I do need to go back and check the answer keys, because there's no way that every teacher can have done every single puzzle and be able to use them all and know the answers off the top of their heads. So it's a great backup to have. All right, so the next lesson that I want to look at is called Music Studio. And in my school, we do a lot of cross-curricular instruction, and we include other classes. So I do a lot of work with the music teacher, and it's really important, as Leandra had mentioned much earlier, that for me, I want my students to be able to create. I don't want them to just sit in front of a video game and start playing games. I tell them they can go home and do that when they're playing their video game. So I really want them in my classroom to be able to create. So here's a lesson. It's called Octodrum, and they're going to get to play the drums. And they're going to be introduced to some new code blocks. So here they show you which the blocks are. Some new vocabulary words. Again, here's your objectives. And then they start with an unplugged activity. So the unplugged activity in this case would be to pair up students, but if you're socially distancing, you don't have to put them in pairs, and have them start drumming out a rhythm on the desk. And they can drum anything they want. So they can just make a little tap. Or when I do this with the music teacher, we have big buckets, either pails or compound buckets, from the contractors, and they actually have drumsticks, and they can drum out a tune. So they can practice what they're going to be doing in coding. So they work with the music teacher, and then they come back into my class and actually code it. There are coding prompts that give them the beginner level, which is just trying to put the drum blocks in some kind of pattern. Then they have an intermediate level where they're actually coding a song, and then an advanced level where they can create a song using loops. Okay? And then, of course, there's the extended unplugged activity where you can have your students share their work. I believe it was the last session they talked about on the stage using some kind of formative assessment, and in my case, I love to use Flipgrid. So if the students are creating this on their own and we don't have time for everybody to share out in class, I'll have them use Flipgrid. They can video record themselves playing their creation, and then everybody can go in and watch each other. There's another great way to app smash would be using Seesaw. So if they're real little ones and you use Seesaw in the classroom, that would be a great idea. And this way you don't have to worry about spending time with everybody wanting to share, because of course even at the little age, every single student's going to want to share and you may not have time. So maybe you'll just have them record and then share one or two, and then they can go back and watch them on their own. Okay, so I just want to briefly show the presentation slides again, just like I showed earlier on the other one. They come with all the slides. So what we're going to be doing today, these are the blocks that we're going to introduce. So you have your drum block. This is Ollie the octopus. Those are the drums, and then it gives you the steps on creating it. So again, there's an answer key. I'm going to stop sharing for a moment and go back to the iPad. Okay, so again, if you're not able to see it, you can click on the screen view of the iPad and make that larger for yourself. So we started out at the beginning with Ocean Odyssey, and you can go in order with your students. The building a robot's lots of fun, but again, like I mentioned, I do a lot of cross-curricular, so I wanted to demo the music studio, and they don't have to go in order. So here's one creation I had already made. As you create them, you're able to start a new creation and save them. So I'm going to go to the Barbershop Bayou. And I believe I lowered the sound, so I'm just going to put it back on.
It's a lovely day on the bayou, and the animals are ready to sing their song. Use code to tell the animals what to sing and how to sing. Tap the animal block to add it to your code.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do.
Choose an animal.
Okay, so I can choose the frog, the duck, the grasshopper, the turtle, or I can choose a random one, which is the little dice with all the question marks. So I'm going to go with the duck.
Tap the mood block.
We talk a lot about rubber ducky programming, so I will always model with the duck. Okay, so now I'm going to choose the sound.
Choose a style. Next, tap the tempo block to set the speed of the song. Choose how fast you want the song to play. Now tap the repeat block.
Okay, so now they're already calling them repeats.
Choose how many times the song should repeat.
Okay, so they're being introduced again to the vocabulary, and I'll have it repeat twice.
Tap the play sound block to add it to the repeat. Choose a chord for the animals to sing. Tap play to run your code and listen to your song.
So, not a very good song.
Nice job. Now try making more songs. You can also try tapping one of the animals to hear it sing.
Okay, so I'm going to try that. I'm going to see if I could just hear the one duck. And I have to change that. Let's see. So, as you can see, your students could spend an entire class period playing around with just this one part, because there's just so much for them to play around with. So this is just one example. I'm going to go back to
Barbershop Bayou.
the octopus so that you can see one that I've already created. Okay, so I created this as a loop. I have them playing it 4 times. I got to change the background, so you can change your background. You can change which drum you would like. This is the pause, so that they're pausing in between. So you can move the pause button around. You can add new drums. And again, at this point, you can see that they're dragging and dropping. So pausing in between each one. Okay, now I do not have any musical training, but if the music teacher sat with them and did this, then the songs that they come up with are amazing, because they're actually sitting there and concentrating and focusing on actually creating real music and not just making some random noises like I am in this demo. Okay, before I go on to the next one, I just want to pause for a moment and see if anybody has any questions. If you have a question, you can post it in the chat. Okay, I'm gonna go back to sharing my screen for the next one. We're going to go to an art lesson. Okay, so again, as I guess they call us the specials teachers, so it's technology, which is what I teach, art, music, and then we have physical education. So I do a lot of cross-curricular with all of the teachers. So here's a lesson that I work with the art teacher. So again, here's the lesson plan. And these are the code blocks that they're introducing us to. So set the size of the shape. Okay, there's 8 different sizes to choose from. We're going to be able to set the color of our shape. They can choose 7 different colors or the random. Set the angles. Now, you may say to yourself, well, this is, kindergarten to 2nd grade, and here they're already learning angles. I know in 4th grade, they don't learn angles in New Jersey until 4th grade. So my students, by the time they get to, I think it was probably April or May that they started learning about angles in 4th grade. When they get to that, they already know what they're all about angles from all the computer science, all the coding they've been doing, and they really surprise their math teachers because they've already learned all of this, and it's just being reinforced in the math class, whereas I used to be the one who was reinforcing the math after something they already learned. But they're introduced to this in preschool, pre-K, kindergarten, 1st grade. So by the time they get to 4th grade, they're already experts in the angles. Okay, and then the next one is to choose a very specific picture. This lesson does not have any new vocabulary being introduced, but again, here's your objectives. The students will use the code blocks to create their own starfish spirals, and they're going to use coding concepts. So our warm-up activity is an unplugged activity, and it's called What is Spiral Art? So you ask the students if they know what spiral art is. Now, the art teacher may have already introduced spiral art to them at some point, and if they haven't been introduced to it, for me personally, this was a flash from the past when I started doing this lesson, because they tell you to play a short video of a person demonstrating spiral art, and I do have a short YouTube video opened up, and this was one of my favorite toys as a child, so I'm going to just play this real quick. So, and apparently they sell these at the Dollar Tree. So if you actually want to go ahead and get them for your students to use this as an introduction, that they're fairly inexpensive. So I don't know if anybody else has played with these when they were younger, but this was something that was one of my favorite toys. I'm just going to speed it up a little bit. Of course, it's not going to let me. Let's see. Now, all right. So it won't load. And I see Michelle said that it's one of her favorites too. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not going, but all right. So anyway, I'm going to go back to the iPad. Stop sharing this. And find the Art Studio. So here's Art Studio.
Starfish spirals.
Okay, so there's 4 choices.
Wild tracks.
Wild tracks.
Seabed scribbler. Starfish spirals. Puff paint.
Okay, so we're going to go into starfish spirals, but I just wanted to show you what some of the other
Starfish
options
spirals.
are. Okay, and we're going to start a new. So again, they can play around with this as many as they want. So I always tell my students when they say to me, okay, I'm finished, you can always tell them, especially when they're being creators, there is no finished. Okay, you're never ending. Okay, you just keep, you have unlimited access to be able to keep creating. So I want them to know that they can go back and make more, that there isn't any finished. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is choose the pen type. So I'm going to go with a medium size, and then you can choose a color, and then an angle. And again, at this young age, they're not going to know what these angles are called, but you could even use this with the older kids as a review once they've already learned all these angles as a quiz review, because they're going to be quizzed on, which is the acute angle, which is the obtuse angle. So I'm going to go, which one's the 90-degree angle? So I'm just going to pick something at random. And then I'm going to decide which picture I want to draw. So I'm going to choose the sun because it's raining here in New Jersey. And I'd like to have some sunshine. And then a background. So I'm going to go with this background here. And then I press play. And here my starfish is making a picture that reminds me exactly of the spirograph picture that we just watched. Now I can add more code to the bottom of this. So I'm going to press stop, and I'm going to add some more code into it. So now I'm going to choose a smaller pen type, and I'm going to go with purple. I'm going to leave the angle the same, and I want the same sun, and watch what happens. So we put a little picture inside of my larger picture. So one of the lesson plans that's in there tells the students, I'm going to pull it up in a second. I'm turning off the sound and I made it louder instead. So one of the things it says, as a beginner, it says pick a color and a shape and then draw it. And you can make the pink star, an orange leaf, a rainbow snowflake. So if students need that extra push, some more information on what they should to create, they're not sure where to start, you can give them some suggestions. The intermediate level, okay, you draw two different shapes using two different colors in the same project. So that's exactly what I just did. So I have my two different shapes, the same shape, but in different sizes. And then an advanced student or somebody who's ready to move on could use, one of the suggestions is 3 different size butterflies, each one with a different color, a different size, and a different angle. So it does give your students able to be successful no matter what they are doing. So which is great. I'm gonna just switch my camera. Okay. So that students can be successful no matter what. And that's our goal for our students. We want them, no matter what their level of expertise, no matter how much they've had coding for, used computers before. I mean, this year we really learned how many students had no idea how to use any technology at all. My parents always tell us that, oh, my child plays with my cell phone all the time, they know technology. But that's not true, and we really learned that this year during virtual learning. So I just want to show just one more thing to go back for a second. So again, I just touched upon a couple of the lessons, but there's so many different lessons that are here that are available, and this is all for the little ones. So there's emoji chats. You can make a Mother's Day card, birthday cards. The birthday card lesson is a lot of fun. You have a day in the park and different poses. One of my favorites is the robo dance. All right, so Michelle is asking us, why would the starfish ask for a grown-up for help? And that's because they want, I believe you only get the first 3 lessons. Right, Leandra, it's the first 3 lessons on the app. I'll let you take that answer.
Yeah, that's correct. So you get the first 3 lessons for free on the app, and then if you would like, then you there is a premium version. However, for our teachers, we do have a Tinker Junior grant. So if you would like to apply for a Tinker Junior grant to receive it for free for all of your students, you can also apply for that through our website, because we want to make sure that all students have access to this Tinker Junior app no matter what. So please reach out to me. My email address is in the chat if you would like some more information regarding that, and if you would like it for your students or for your kiddos as well. And Paige, I'll pass that back over to you.
Okay, so at this point, did anyone, was anybody able to play around with it? In that if you play around with the hour of code, that link, I'm gonna go back and open that up. That there's a lot of different activities available that your students can use, again, at no charge. And they were able to create on their own. Let's see what. And they have, once the students are introduced, I know that a lot of my students, that they'll go through the Tinker Junior, and even though that they're so little, they may be ready for more. I do have 3rd and 4th graders who are already working on intermediate level, which is middle school level. So the great thing is that the students are really able to, it's endless. It's endless where they go and what they're able to work on. So the Barbie Pet Vet is a favorite. I'm gonna go back and share my screen in case you're not in it. So this was the Hour of Code link. And I sorted by elementary here. And even the boys, everybody loves this Barbie Pet Vet. And Space Quest. So again, even though these are a little bit older, once they're past the tapping, they can move on and choose. And again, they're always given a choice. There's always a story behind it. Fantastic graphics that they're used to. So even though your littles aren't able to read yet, okay, they can still do this because it's still giving them voice over directions. Okay, so here they're getting into the code, but if you showed them what the blocks look like, and again, there's a lesson plan for this, they've already gotten the concepts of tapping on the blocks and attaching them, so they're able to just pick up on this. So even though they can't read yet, they're still able, and here's their same 3 stars that they're used to. So it's really endless. Again, I have so many students who are who always go to the next level, which is great. They get the beginning, and then they move on. And like I said, I have second graders working on past where the fifth graders are. So it's endless. They can just move on. And again, if you haven't done every puzzle, and as a teacher, it's impossible to be able to access, for you to personally do every single course and every single lesson, the answer keys are available. All right. Does anybody have questions? Leandra, I think I'm going to pass it back to you.
Well, Paige, thank you. That was such an impressive demonstration. I really, really appreciate it. Fantastic job. And thank you for showing our teachers. Teachers, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Part of my job at Tinker is to make sure that teachers can use Tinker for free forever. And so I'm definitely happy to help you do that and learn more about the options we have, especially for the teacher assessments and automatic grading and teacher dashboard, so that you guys can see where you can log in and have access to that. And yes, please follow Paige on Twitter at PC Teachers HS. Let me show one last screen here, and I will wrap it up for today because I know we're coming close to an end. But if you would like to get connected here, please follow us on Twitter. Follow Paige on Twitter as well. Hashtag every student can code, hashtag every teacher can code, and Paige at PC Teachers HS. Oh, and Michelle, yes, absolutely. We have plenty of district options that we can discuss. We would love to talk about that. Yes, please. Please reach out to me for sure. And the Facebook community as well. We have, that's where I love to hang out. So please feel free to join us on our Facebook community and get support. 24/7 support. You can take a snapshot of this as well. And something I failed to mention is that Tinker has free PD. So if you would like, we have numerous PD options as well as a way to get Tinker Certified Level 1, Tinker Certified Level 2, and Tinker Distinguished Educator like Paige is today. She's gone through a few certifications, and it's amazing because by the time you're a Tinker Distinguished Educator, you have learned a coding language. You are very efficient in using them and in using Tinker, but also in teaching CS in your classroom. So it's a very distinguished certification to have. So that's all for today, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. And it has been such a pleasure having you guys with me today. Thank you so much. And again, my email is in the chat, and we were so happy to have you. Yolanda, back to you.
Phenomenal job, ladies. Thank you so very much. Paige, I just followed you on Twitter, so that's why you saw me looking down. Leandra, I need that last slide to get that information again so I can follow you as well. But great job. Please excuse the puppy in the background. Great job. And to our audience, they finished just a little early. And so we have more sessions from 4:30 to 5:30, wrapping up here. All right. And thank you, Leandra, for putting that in the chat. So with that, I say it's much appreciated. And you guys did a wonderful, wonderful job.
Thank you so much, Yolanda. It's been a pleasure to be with you guys.
So welcome. So welcome.
Thank you again, Paige.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to both of you. This is just the whole experience. The whole conference has just been wonderful. So.
Yay. I look forward to us one day all being in person together. So keep up the good work, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.